Hello, everybody, and of course, welcome back to another episode of X Talking This with your boy X.
And this.
You already know what to do. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast. And also, if you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share our Facebook page to make sure that you go ahead and check us out in the future on our future page, our future shows on our Facebook page. And as well, if you are on YouTube, please make sure you go ahead and hit that red subscribe button so you can go ahead and check us out on YouTube and also hit that notification bell for shows like this one in the future.
Ding.
Thank you for that, Ish. And
Mm-hmm,
you already
mm-hmm.
know what to do if you are on Twitter. Please make sure you go ahead and check us out on Twitter. We are on Periscope, streaming live on Periscope. I'm going to go ahead and retweet it right now on my personal page at X_Williams81. With that being said, before we move on with the rest of our rundown, we're gonna go ahead and of course introduce one of our guests for the shows for tonight, Mr. Casey McKinney. We already know who he is. Everybody loves him. Everybody wants him back on the show as always. So we bring him back, and we appreciate him for having him on, Mr. Casey McKinney from Just Another Football Show.
Hey man, appreciate it. Always a good time coming on, hanging out with you guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We definitely agree. We appreciate you as always for being on once again. Um, Ishmael, before we do get down to the nitty gritty, the rundown of tonight, um, I'm pretty sure a lot of people expected it to not to be a regular Tuesday especially with no football being played on this upcoming Sunday. This would be a regular sports day, but or sports news day, I should say. But apparently, the NFL had second guesses on that because they came out hard with these bombshells. Even when Apple decided to announce their lineup for Apple products coming out and talking about, of course, having the MLB on their platform, it still did not outshine the NFL and what it's able to do today. So, Ish, how do you feel about some of these situations that popped up? We'll talk about very shortly.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before the season even ended. We said, this offseason, it had all the makings to be one of the greatest off seasons in a while. A lot of fireworks. There were a lot of question marks out there. Mainly the quarterback position, obviously, as we'll get into in a little bit, was the big question mark around the league on where some of these bigger names were going to go. I think this probably had the making to be one of the biggest quarterback moving off seasons in a long time. I mean, when you talk about big names and like what potential there was for those players to move, this definitely had the writing was on the wall that this was going to be the off season that we were going to see some shaking up on in that position. And man, it was quiet at first, and we heard some rumblings around the league about potential trades for Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers, he might not want to go back to Green Bay. And then today it was like somebody decided to just let all hell break loose. And I'm excited that the first dominoes have fallen, because now I think it's only going to encourage teams to make more moves, especially with the league season about to start. A lot of people get money paid to them when the league season opens up, and I think that's the big story about what we're seeing right now, because a lot of the moves you saw are because when the league season starts, a lot of people are owed some money. So how are teams going to adjust their current salary cap numbers? How are teams going to make trades that help their salary cap numbers? Those are the important things to look at when you see your team making these deals.
And I'm happy you brought up the word that I wanted you to bring up, which was domino, and that's the reason why I labeled this episode the domino effect, because the biggest domino finally moved, which was Aaron Rodgers. Which I'm just saying he moved as in stayed in Green Bay, and that pretty much changed everything when it comes to Devontae Adams. Also, and then also with Denver, which again we'll get into very shortly. I just want to throw it to KC real quickly. Um, Now with the AFC West being what it is, and let's just go right into the thick of thing. Of course, Seattle trading Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos, and if you've been on the show multiple times and you've listened to KC being on here, we all know that he is a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Same with our boy Ishmael Sirian over here. KC, how do you feel about Russell now being a part of this AFC West, which could be the best division going into the NFL this upcoming season? How do you feel about Russell joining this division?
Did you say could be? I mean, it is.
It is.
Let's
It
the
is.
brakes on could be. It is. That's not close. No, I hate it. I absolutely, as a Chiefs fan, I absolutely hate it. And the thing that I get, and I got a lot of shit today from a buddy of mine that's a 49ers fan, because I've always said, you can hate the Seahawks, right? But Russ, he's a stand-up guy. He's a great guy. He's never been like that drama guy. So you can't hate Russell Wilson. And man, he sat down at the table tonight to do the podcast and said, "So remember how you can't hate Russell Wilson?" So that's where we were at. Like I love Russell Wilson. He's one of my favorite players in the league. And for him to go to a team that I despise greatly, possibly the greatest, I didn't like it. But it 100% makes sense for them. I do believe that team is a quarterback away from really being able to compete, not only in the division but the conference. They've got a lot of really good young pieces everywhere, and I think it sets them up pretty good right now. I hate to say it as a Chiefs fan, but it's a good move for them.
Ish. Now, on this show, of course, last season, we are very big supporters of Mr. Backpack Boy, Mr. Drew Lock. We were, for the most part, very highly on him. And I think it was mainly because of the surroundings that he was a part of in Denver. Now with him moving on to Seattle, and let's be honest, I don't think Pete Carroll is going to be a head coach in the NFL that much longer moving forward. So it'd be interesting to see how he gets molded as a quarterback in Seattle. But for Denver, ish, do you feel like Denver gave up too much for Seattle? Because looking at this, now don't get me wrong, if this was Russell Wilson a year or two after the Super Bowl, his last Super Bowl win, I would say, hey, it is what it is. But for what we've seen other quarterbacks go for, is this a fair swap of picks and players for this caliber of a player ish?
I think it's hard to say, and the reason why I say it's hard to say now, it's not because I'm just trying to cop out of this answer and not give you a definitive. It's because, well, previously we didn't really have a good. I don't think we would have had a good measuring stick for a trade like this, right? Quite this caliber of player moving at this stage of their career to a team that, last year they didn't really contend, but I think a lot of people feel like they're not far away. They may have a couple pieces that they need to move around, but they were competitive somewhat in the NFC West. And I say it's hard to say because if they are able to do something similar to the team that is now the defending champions and in their very division, Denver could end up winning a Super Bowl based off of this. We don't know. It's hard to, say it early in the season. There are a lot of things that still need to go on, but Denver could end up winning the Super Bowl. And if Denver ends up winning the Super Bowl, are people going to say Denver gave up too much? No, I think people will be like, hey, finally, John Elway and that organization got it right. They got their guy. They've done it again. They did it with Peyton Manning. Now they've done it with Russell Wilson. So it's hard to say. From a Seattle standpoint, did you get enough back? Time will tell. Similar to Detroit last year, time will tell. How do you use these picks? What are you able to do? You mentioned Drew Lock going to Seattle and how we were talking about, his potential and what he has to offer. Can I just throw this out there? And I know it might sound crazy and it may be like some people may be shaking their head. Is it possible that Drew Lock goes to Seattle and Teddy Bridgewater is brought in to be in front of him again? I think that they aren't necessarily sold on Drew Lock. Drew Lock was a piece in the trade, but he's not necessarily the answer. I don't see them, just sitting with Drew Lock. I see them going out in the free agency market. Maybe Jameis Winston. I don't know. Somebody just go out there, get somebody else. bring in some competition. I would not rest on just Drew Lock. But
let me get into this comment right quick from Lee. He says, I think it's a win-win for both teams. Seattle can legit rebuild with all those high-tier picks. It also gained a legit tight end and a high-level defensive end. Now,
I'm not as high as on Noah fan as everybody.
Hey man, I'll be the biggest Noah fan apologist there is as an Iowa Hawkeye fan, but the kid can't stay healthy. I mean, maybe he shows up and turns it around, but we've already seen him with Locke. It doesn't work. Honestly, I fully believe that Seattle is going to turn around and take that first round pick that they got, number 9, and draft a quarterback there.
Now, one thing I will say, and Lee adds on, he says high potential. My apologies. Now, one thing I will say when it comes to Seattle, they have proven over the last 10 years for the most part that they are pretty decent in the draft. Over the last couple of years, I'll say they've missed. The last couple of years, they've missed.
Pump the brakes. I don't think they've drafted very. They got DK right. Russ late, 3rd round. Russ wasn't supposed to be the guy that he was.
It depends on how you looked at him.
Last few years
From a person like myself that has watched Russell Wilson from North Carolina State, I'm not surprised at who he's become because I know the type of person he is, and I always felt like he would be that great. But a lot of people didn't see it, and that's understandable. But to be able to draft the type of secondary that she was able to draft, the LOB.
Oh man!
Tornado warnings over there.
Y'all getting what we just had up here?
They abducting children.
I know it's not in Iowa over there. I know it's over there.
We just got nailed this weekend.
Well, I heard about that. I hope everything's good over there.
A couple miles from the house.
Oh wow! I didn't know it was that close.
Yeah. We're all good.
Okay, I was gonna say glad to know you guys are okay. All right, let's get back to the.
I still got internet. We're good.
All right, so with that everything going back to like I said, we're talking about the Seahawks situation. When it comes to Russell, though, not just Russell. When it comes to the whole trade, yes, even though like you said, Casey, the Seahawks haven't probably hit on all of their picks, but moving forward, I feel like with this draft upcoming, there are a lot of decent pieces all around.
For sure.
That I'm not saying this year that you will hit on every pick, but at least it gives you something to rebuild on over the next 2 to 3 more years. Because one thing about Pete Carroll, and he's proven time and time again, he can still connect with the younger generation to coach a football team until he just can't do it anymore, which we kind of we saw, I guess, last year, but again, because they had no quarterback, which was Russell. But what happens if Pete does this galvanizing, young, energetic coach type of thing and have Seattle be the dark horse? I don't think it's this year, but maybe 2 years from now.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think it's that quick a turnaround.
You can't say that you can't tell them not to take the deal just because they haven't drafted well recently, right? Like they didn't have any picks. They didn't have a 1st round pick coming into this draft. They would have had the 10th overall pick, but that went in the Jamal Adams trade, right? So it gets them back sort of to 0, at least in the 1st round this year, which is an interesting thought. But this I don't know that it's overpaid. You always got to wait and see what happens when the dust settles. I mean, if you go back now and look at the Rams trade, I preach this all the time. The Rams trade when they got Ramsey, go look and see the 2 picks that were made. The 2 it's guys you don't know. Like it didn't pan out and it didn't work, and the Rams absolutely won that trade, and then they went and won a Super Bowl. So I don't really hate what Denver did here. I think it's okay. I think that they didn't have to give up any of their young pieces, which we all sort of expected. I think we thought one of them young wide receivers was going to go, maybe someone on the defense. Like they didn't really lose anybody in this. They've got Javonte Williams. Like this team is ready, especially the offense is ready to go.
Now,
and if they can get the defense squared away and figured out, which I think they are there. Problem is you got, you're shooting out against now Herbert and Carr and Mahomes. And Carr's got a lot of disrespect on his name this week.
Now, the only rebuttal I have on that, KC, though, is you are correct on everything that you're saying if this was Los Angeles Rams. Because, of course, we just saw what they were able to do adding Matt Stafford and adding that piece of what they needed to do to be able to get over the hump. The Denver Broncos have swung and missed on quarterbacks ever since Peyton Manning has led them to a Super Bowl, okay? So
In the
what?
draft.
Yeah, but this is similar. This is similar
draft.
to the Peyton Manning trade, right?
This is
Like,
identical to the Peyton.
this is identical to that situation.
It is in a sense of two things. One, we still don't know the health of Russell Wilson moving forward.
We didn't know the health of Peyton Manning.
You're right, but that's what I'm
exactly.
But that's what I'm saying.
Situation.
This is what I'm saying though. Yes, they're banking the same way that they banked on Peyton for it to pan out the same way for Russell, and it can. I'm agreeing with everybody. I think we're on the same page that yes, it can because Russell is that type of player. Russell could have been added to New Orleans Saints and they'd probably be a Super Bowl contender. He could have been added to Tennessee Titans and they'd be a Super Bowl contender. That's how great of a player that I think Russell is. And same thing with
just had to throw the Titans out there.
I'm just being honest.
They wouldn't be a Super Bowl contender.
Okay. Anyways, whatever. The point is, see, he's a hater. The point is that with Russ being on the Broncos, it makes them a legit contender now. If the Broncos are going to continue to help make everybody around him that much better. But here's the thing with the Broncos, though. They are so consistently inconsistent that what happens if Russell gets hurt this year? Because he's been hurt and banged up for the last couple of years to where he has not been the same Russ for a minute now. And I love Russ. Russ is my guy. But he has not been the same Russ for the past couple of years now due to mainly the Seattle Seahawks pitiful offensive line.
Yeah, this is by far the best offensive line he's ever played with. And I
agree.
Fine.
So if he's able to stay upright, then he can definitely contend for a divisional title. But that division is serious to where he might be the third best team. It might be the third best team after the season's over.
This year, all you got to do is get in, man.
Let me say this real quick though.
And they're playing a fourth place schedule this year.
I do want to say this. I do want to say this one real quick. I know that I joke around a lot and I give this guy a lot of hate. But there's more to the Denver Broncos situation than the quarterback's spot, okay? Because as much as I gave Theodore a hard time this year, Theodore actually came out and played well. He had some of his best statistical numbers this year as far as his average yards, and
you can also chalk that up to the mile high air as well too. That also adds a couple of air yards. But continue, sir.
He played well in a lot of these games. They have more problems than quarterback. They have some problems on the defensive side that they need to have addressed. Like, it's not that I'm saying that they aren't automatically contenders. I think that they have, shot up a level above where they were before. But like you just pointed out, you might be just the third best team in the division right now. Like, you don't necessarily jump over. I don't know if I'm necessarily jumping you over the Chargers. I don't know if you're jumping over the Chiefs. Shoot, you might not even jump over the Raiders. Like, a lot of people just looking at the Raiders now as if they're no ones in this division when, hey, the Raiders got in, and let's be honest, the Raiders almost won that playoff game in the first round. Yeah. So let's not act like the Raiders are nobodies here, okay? So I think that while we are all really excited about Russell Wilson moving, and I think part of it is that, we haven't seen a trade like this in a long time where an established quarterback moves to a team that could potentially be a contender, except for last year with Matt Stafford. And we saw what Matt Stafford did. So it's kind of got some people thinking like, oh, here we go again. Yeah, man, this is going to be awesome. Mm-hmm. Pump the brakes, okay? There are a lot of holes still left. There are a lot of questions left to be answered in Denver before they just start, declaring themselves AFC West champions.
I agree. Casey, you have anything to add on before we move on to the next topic?
Nah, man. We'll see how it plays out. I think they'll be good. I think they've got $25 million in cap space even after this deal is done. They can go and play with the defense. They got a lot of young talent, and I think that's key for the next couple of years. The wide receiving core, Javonte Williams back there is terrifying to me. I think he's going to be really good. And go shore up some defense. And there's some big names out there that they could go sign on the defensive side of the ball and sort of fix things.
One thing Denver has not missed on really rarely though over these last 10 years is the defense. Even though, remember, let's be honest, when they got rid of Von Miller this past season, a lot of people expected Denver to just continue to keep tanking, but they actually got better as a defense after Von Miller left. I'm not saying it's Von Miller's fault why they were playing bad. I'm not saying that at all. What
That's
I'm saying
exactly
is
what I
that,
just said.
anyways, what I'm saying is that moving forward, I just think that they are a defense that are playing for 11-man defense instead of one guy. And I think moving forward for Denver is going to allow them to get even better. And I think that Denver, not just with Russell Wilson, but on the defensive side, will be a surprise team moving into next season. Now, let me get to this comment right quick from Lee because he's going to segue us into the next topic. He says, "Do I think Bobby Wagner reunites with Russ, who came into the league with Seattle with heads to Denver since he was just released?" Well, of course, that is our next topic at hand. Seattle releases Bobby Wagner. That is, of course, what's going on. A lot of talks on social media about Bobby Wagner maybe rejoining Russell Wilson yet again in Denver. How do y'all feel about that? Let me go to KC on that one.
I think the thing about this that interests me more is like, what's the thing in Seattle? Like, are we going full fire sale? Are we done? Are we going full rebuild?
That's what it seems like. That's what
it does.
It seems
in
like.
which case, like, some teams need to call and start asking about like DK, who's got 1 year left.
I was just about to say,
are they going to pay him big money next year? Because Kansas City should give them a call tomorrow. I'll give them a one tomorrow for DK and put him on the other side.
KC, y'all can't have everybody.
I know.
Yes, we can.
I'm fantasy booking over here.
Come on.
I don't know. Like, I could see it. I think that the Broncos are more likely to invest in outside help. I mean, in that division, you're going to have it, right? You're going to go against Mahomes, Herbert, or Carr. Like, yeah, you've got one really good corner. I don't want to go back to the Denver thing, but, they got certain. So who's to say they don't go out and sign like a J.C. Jackson or something like that and put him on the other side and let's go? I don't know that you need two superstars, corner, safety, very deep in free agency. So they could go out and sign some guys. So I don't know that Wagner necessarily fits here, but I mean, someone's going to pay him. Someone's going to bring him in and give him a shot. And I'm interested in what this rebuild and what this situation for Seattle is more than anything else. Because, I mean, they got guys on this team that could flourish another play. Tyler Lockett's another guy that could go somewhere. If they're fire sailing, well, how far are we going? What are we doing? How much do these guys really want to be around if you got Drew Lock throwing the ball around? Because trust me, you don't want around. Like, no, I'm out. I'm out if I'm those guys. I don't feel good if I'm in a Seattle uniform this week.
You're not lying on that one. Is what you got.
Yeah, for me, Casey hit the nail right on the head. The Bobby Wagner to Denver, it's kind of intriguing. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I think they do need a little bit of that linebacker help, and to bring a veteran guy like that into that defense would definitely help out some of those younger guys there. But for me, when I heard this news, I immediately thought, oh, so we're completely going to rebuild in Seattle, are we? So I immediately thought of some names, and I'm going to go through the list. Like you said, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Dwayne Brown, the tackle that they traded for from the Houston Texans. I mean, that is a big name. He's got a number of years on him, but hey, he could still get a good price out there. You got guys like Jamal Adams on the defensive side that people might be looking towards. They've got some pieces in that locker room that, if you're going full rebuild, and if I'm a guy like a Dwayne Brown, if I'm a guy like a Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf, I don't know that I necessarily want to stay around for a full rebuild. So why not, teams start giving them a call and let's see how far they're willing to go. I think the downside that you're going to have if you are some of these guys that are sitting in the locker room and maybe you're sitting there thinking to yourself, like, I don't know, I want to go through a rebuild. When teams know that a team is ready to sell the assets for a rebuild, they're not going to offer what you would expect in a different market, right? So whereas you might have thought before DK Metcalf would go for maybe a 2 or something, teams not really going to offer 2 off the bat.
Now, so many guys want him though, man. Like, I could see 3 or 4 teams calling about DK. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
That's the thing. I think his value is at least a 2.
Hey, I don't know if they're willing to sell for a rebuild. I'm offering a 3 and maybe I'll offer you a 3 and maybe a middle player or something and see if you'll bite for that. But we'll have to wait and see what happens in Seattle. If I'm a Seattle fan, Yeah,
I know a couple.
I'm
Hey, you
just
had good times, right?
wait for
I
the
think, to
rebuild.
be honest, let's be real. I think Seattle got really, really spoiled with the era that they were in with, of course, Russell Wilson, LOB, of course, Bobby Wagner, part of that defense, and the run that they were on, because it was for a decent time period. 1 to 2 Super Bowls, won one. Probably could have won. Probably should have won two, of course, if they would have ran the ball. And let's be real, ever since that Super Bowl where they didn't run the ball, everything kind of crumbled, started crumbling after that with the players and of course Pete Carroll and how he was able to, I guess, run the show. And I think, who knows? We talked about players on here with the rebuild. What about coaches? What about, is this Pete Carroll? Is this Pete Carroll's about to be
I
his
think Pete
beginning of
Carroll's
the
got to
end?
open on the hot seat,
Is
man.
he beginning of the end in Seattle too? I mean, is he retire after this? Does he retire and never coach again? No shame to that. Or does he go back to college? Or does he be like a special assistant to somebody in the league still? It'd be interesting to see what happens with Pete Carroll after this is over with. But one thing I will say to this whole saga with Russell Wilson Seahawks and also Bobby Wagner's, wrap everything up before we move on to the next topic, is Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson have to be two of the greatest professionals, and I use that term very loosely, professionals, when it comes to how they went about this whole thing. Because all off season long, they've talked about how Russell Wilson will say "Go Hawks," right? And
Mm-hmm.
Pete Carroll will talk about how Russell Wilson was their quarterback, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And hey, as we see right now, it's not what's going to be going on moving into this upcoming season, and it's just a part of the business that we call the NFL. Because at the end of the day, it is a business. And with that being said, when we talk about business, we're gonna talk about big M's, and that's what your boy Aaron Rodgers was able to get from the Packers when he was able to, I guess, after go on his 12-day cleanse of all body fluids. He was able to get an extra $200 million. I need to go on that body cleanse, and if that's what you got to do to get $200 million, I'll go on any type of cleanse it is out there, boy. But hey, he was able to get his money, get his mind cleared out, and he thought, I guess, at first when he dropped this news, he was going to be the first topic at hand on all sports shows to talk about. But of course, Seattle did what they did, and I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers, but it looks like you are coming in second again, just like you did this upcoming season, to Jimmy Garoppolo. And it is what it is, Mr. Rodgers. But at least you got your money, and at least you got everything that you seem like you won. Because of course, after this news broke, of course, the Packers placed the franchise tag on Devontae Adams as well, to make sure that they locked up Rodgers and Adams moving on to the next season. So it seems like for the Packers, it looks like the offensive side is taken care of. Pretty sure they will address the defense throughout the draft and also in free agency. But let me start off with you, Ish. Were you surprised at this news? Were you expecting Rodgers to leave? Were you expecting less money? What were your thoughts on this? On this finally becoming this the whole drama filled months now thing finally coming to an end?
To be honest, when I saw this news break, I thought to myself the Packers got played. Um, I feel like he called their bluff. He called their bluff. He knew that they didn't. He knew the feeling in the organization was they weren't sold on my man Jordan Love, and he played him. He made it seem like he wanted to leave. He talked all this nonsense, and they went out and they made him the highest paid player. And at some point, we're gonna need to have this conversation about the fact that Aaron Rodgers has won Super Bowl, and but beyond that, like, yeah, he's been a great quarterback. Yeah, he's got these numbers, but what has he done for the organization as far as championships? What has he done for the organization as far as championships? One championship. And we're gonna go out here and we're gonna give a guy that is, bruh, the man is not the youngest player out there. And we give him this the guaranteed money that you gave him. I know it helps the cap space, but I'm still looking at it like you gave him this guaranteed money. You're giving him 4 years. What? I'm perplexed by it. I don't know that I necessarily, if I'm a Packers fan, I feel good about it. I mean, maybe you feel like your team's gonna go and compete for a Super Bowl now. I don't see how the team got much better than last year. All the talk that about last year was that they were
I'm
going
with
to win.
Lee here.
Well, Lee actually just confirmed last I heard Rodgers said those numbers were wrong and the contract hasn't been signed yet. Well, I'm getting my information off NFL.com. It states that it is a 4-year extension worth $200 million, including $153 million guaranteed money. And that is also from an NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport. Now, again,
I mean, I'm not one to like believe anything that Aaron Rodgers says. We learned that this year, right? Like, let's pump the brakes on taking him at face value for what he tweets out.
Yeah,
but he did tweet after that story was posted on NFL.com.
You're correct.
That the numbers and terms that he signed are not correct. So I'll be very interested to see this come through officially. But I mean, this is the right move for both him and the team. The NFC is weak, right? Like, now, who's a contender in the NFC?
No, I'm happy you bring that up, Casey. I'm happy you bring that up, Casey.
Maybe they're losing a bunch of guys. Like,
well, that's the thing going into this season with all of the quarterbacks now in the AFC, and you have this clear shot in the NFC. Is this going to alter your perception of Aaron Rodgers if he's not able to get this done? Because like Ish said, the last time you won a championship was 2011. That's more than 10 years ago. And don't get me wrong, yes, you've won one. Yes, you have multiple MVPs. But when people talk about you, Aaron Rodgers, they put you on a different pedestal to where you're supposed to be the greatest of the greatest, where you're supposed to have multiple Super Bowls. You're supposed to have multiple Super MVPs. And if you're not able to get that done in a weak NFC, do we put the blame on him? Are we always going to, or is, I guess, luckily enough for him, is he always going to be able to find a scapegoat due to the defense not doing what they're supposed to do, or the special teams?
But beside that, y'all keep saying this weak NFC. The NFC is weaker than the AFC by far. Yeah, sure.
They're like two contenders.
But hold on.
And one of them is the Cowboys. So
while the Rams are losing people, the Rams are still out there. The Cowboys are still a contender.
49ers.
I know they choke all the time.
Sure,
whatever.
The 49ers.
Arizona is still out there.
No. You don't even believe that is. You don't even believe that. No.
They started.
Stop.
Was hurt.
Nobody in NFC South. Nobody takes anybody in NFC South seriously. And the NFC least is the NFC least. So let's be real.
San Francisco's still out there.
We know. And they're gonna beat each other up throughout the season.
Maybe somebody gonna slap some sense into John Lynch and the guys over there, and they're gonna keep Jimmy Garoppolo around so that he can lose in the NFC Championship.
Hey, as long as they beat Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy G, it's all worth it.
Hey, as long as they beat Aaron Rodgers, it don't matter, right? So keep Jimmy G around, beat Aaron Rodgers in the first round, we'll be all right.
All right. Anthony Price on Facebook, he says Rodgers got his money, but Adams deserves his money as well. He also says Packers didn't believe in Jordan. Rodgers knew that and played the Packers. He also says Rodgers did this last year, which was, of course, the whole keeping the Packers.
Adams is getting his money this year. He's playing on a franchise tag. I mean, he's not getting his
as long as he can stay healthy,
money.
he's getting his money next year.
Yeah,
it's fine. That's the thing. It's health. Like, if he gets hurt this year, that doesn't help him at all. But him and Rodgers are going to put up monster numbers. They've done it for years. So, as a guy who's got Devontae Adams in multiple dynasty leagues, let's go. Like, I'm in.
And we all know by now, nobody's worried about Rodgers and Adams, okay? First of all, nobody's worried about that. It's because it seems like for some reason Lambeau Field and just the pressure, I guess, on the Packers, I don't know, it just continues to bite them in the butt. But can Rodgers do whatever it is necessary to lead the Packers to another Super Bowl? No. That is what's going to solidified Aaron Rodgers' career. As long as if he wins one more, nobody will say anything about Aaron Rodgers. But if he's not able to win one more before he retires, it's always going to be that question mark on, yes, we know you were that great, but you're not Tom Brady. You're not maybe even Joe Montana. Maybe not even Steve Young, again, depending on how you look at it. So, probably one of the best quarterbacks ever you might take in a regular season, but not in the postseason. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to some I know some news probably nobody really wants to talk about, but we'll talk about it just for a second. Tennessee Titans.
They needed to get it done, man.
Yeah, I agree. Tennessee Titans, of course, signs Harold Landry to a 5-year, $87.5 million extension. A guy that is very, very quiet and slept on in the linebacking community in the NFL. Not a guy that is a Bobby Wagner or, of course, a guy, of course, like a Ray Lewis, but he's a guy that gets things done for the Tennessee Titans. And if he didn't sign this deal, somebody like the Kansas City Chiefs will come very, very quickly to try to come scoop him away from Tennessee. So for Tennessee to make this deal, of course, that shows that they are trying to do what's necessary to keep this core together. Now, the only other move they need to do is get Tannehill the fuck out of there and get a real quarterback.
That's not happening.
But that's not my that's not my business. I'm just here talking about it, and we'll go from there. But anywho, we'll talk about this very briefly and we'll go ahead and move on because, again, I know the Titans are not hot topic out here in the NFL because nobody likes us, so it is what it is. Go ahead, Casey.
Like I said, it had to get done, right? I mean, if someone else would have signed him. Cincinnati would have jumped at the opportunity to sign him to a deal, right? Like,
oh yeah, that'd been fun.
It needed to get done. They took it down to the wire, but they got it done. That's, I didn't expect anything less, but it's done. So I don't know if there's a lot more to say about it. I don't know if they're finding extra coins in the cushions or whatever there in Tennessee, but maybe convert a little bit more of Tannehill's money to a signing bonus and kick it off next year.
He don't deserve none of it, but continue.
It's what it is, man.
Yeah.
He's getting it. He's getting paid.
Yeah, ish.
I mean, it was a no-brainer, to be honest. There's not much to say here. It's good business. Good business. Titans did what they needed to do. Are they going to shore up some of the other holes that they have? We'll have to wait and see. The Tannehill problem is not going away, unfortunately, for the Titans. I think that's the biggest glaring hole is like, how do we upgrade there? But with the money that he's on, there's really nothing you can do. So unfortunately for the Titans, while this is it's good business, it's exactly what needed to happen. At the same time, it's not very exciting from the standpoint of you still got the same old problems that you had before. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. I mean, it's hard to really be anything other than just like, about this news.
Definitely understand. Also, Anthony says you need to cut Jones, injury prone ass. Yes, I definitely 100%, 1,000% agree. Like one thing, I'll just wrap it up. One thing with the Titans, for some reason, they like getting these old veteran players that come to the team and do nothing. We've seen that with Clowney. We've seen that with Jones. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is. I don't know why we continue to keep doing this. One thing I will say with Harold Landry is, will you do like Pac-Man Jones and of course Albert Hainsworth and get your money and not play anymore, which I hope that's not what's going to happen. I'm pretty sure he's going to continue to keep balling out, but of course we'll just have to wait and see on that one.
Pretty sure, just real quick to address that Jones comment. This year it's a bad year for that Julio Jones situation. He's $14 million against the cap this year, and if they do get rid of him, that's $13 million in dead cap money. So Julio Jones is there. Sorry, guys, he's gonna be there.
No, I know and I understand he's gonna be back. Yeah, he's gonna be back this upcoming season. But like my boy Anthony is talking about, when it comes to just being there, it helps AJ Brown to have somebody to be a mentor to, a very expensive mentor. But for the most part, we could maybe have two other productive guys for that price. But it's here nor there. It's some of these contracts that we put ourselves in as a Tennessee Titans organization, and we're stuck in right now. It is what it is. All right, let's go ahead and move on to a team that was stuck at one point in time with a contract, but maybe feeling like they can get unstuck with the guy that they were kind of banking on, trying to leverage their franchise on moving forward when they signed this deal. Mr. CMC, Christian McCaffrey, At one point in time was supposed to be the franchise guy for the Carolina Panthers moving forward. And now the Carolina Panthers are talking about eliciting trade offers for him, and which is, I know it sounds weird, it's surprising, but it's not, just due to mainly the position that he plays, and also, of course, the injuries that he sustained over the last couple of years now. I'm gonna start this off with KC. KC, besides the team that fits him best moving forward, do you see this as a surprise that Carolina is so quick to go ahead and try to get rid of CMC, or do you feel like this is something that's kind of something that obviously probably the best thing for both parties?
No, I think the Panthers recognize their mistake, and it's just the way the NFL is going to go from now on. The only guy that's the exception that proves the rule is your guy Derrick Henry, right? He's the guy who got signed to the contract and has performed and whatever. Outside of that, these running backs that get signed to a longer contract, it just doesn't work out. We've seen it with Saquon, we've seen it with Zeke. That's not the model that the NFL is going to use going forward. NFL teams are going to use going forward. They're going to be looking at drafting a guy. This is what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to do with Najee Harris. They drafted this guy in the first round because they thought maybe they were the piece away. And, if they had a quarterback, they probably could still be some kind of a contender. But they're just going to run the wheels off of him, and then they're going to be done. And they're going to move on to another running back, and they're going to get one in the second, third round and be done with it. I think Christian McCaffrey is one of the last ones we're going to see get signed to that big deal. And the Panthers are trying to find a way out of it. And I don't think it's going to happen. They owe him a lot of money still. His guaranteed numbers drop after this year, so maybe someone would be interested. But who's the team, right? I see the comments over here. I see the Bills listed, and I don't hate that. But, I've said it for, the second half of the season. The Buffalo Bills are going to be drafting late enough in the first round, and there are other running backs to target. But man, as the guy who lives here in Iowa and watched Breece Hall run up and down the field, if the Bills had Breece Hall and they took him late in the first round, that might be the missing piece. I do think they need to get a running back in this draft, and we'll see, where the mock drafts have the running backs and how they fall. But I would anticipate the Bills leaving the draft with a running back and hoping that fixes their problem instead of taking on $14 million minimum a year for the rest of Christian McCaffrey's contract for a guy that I can't promise is going to stay healthy. I own this guy in like 2 fantasy dynasty leagues, and it's just been a headache, and that's a fantasy league, man. That's not what the Panthers are dealing with. They're talking about real life. So I think that they're sure listening to offers. I just don't think there are any. I don't think anything's happening here.
Ish.
Let's just address the elephant in the room. All right. It says they're listening to offers. More
than the Texans can say they were doing for Watson that one time when they wouldn't answer the phone, right?
Well, I'm happy you brought them up because that's really the only place I could see this working out. Okay. I know people keep saying the Bills and some of these other teams, you're floating them out there. Let's just be honest. The cap hit that it comes along with Christian McCaffrey, the guaranteed money that he's still owed, all of that combined, not a lot of teams are really going to want to go out there and do that unless he's restructuring that deal. Is he willing to restructure that deal to go to a specific team? I don't know. I don't know that I would want to as a running back with a short lifespan, already having injury issues. I'd probably want to ride out this contract that I earned before the injury issues really started to pick up. They're listening to offers because honestly, they can't trade him before June 1st date. The June 1st date, if they do trade him, the cap hit is just way too much. They're going to have to do it after June 1st. So that's why we hear them listening to offers. It's really early on. I also think it plays into their hand because, like I said, the Texans are the only viable option if we're being honest here. I know it's the elephant in the room. I know people are tired of hearing this Deshaun Watson news. Trust me, I'm tired of it too. I live here in Houston. It's on all day, every day. It's all that people want to talk about. Let me just say this. Deshaun Watson to Carolina with Christian McCaffrey in there included It makes sense because why? The Texans are suckers. The Texans will make that kind of trade. They're idiots. They don't pay attention to what's going on. They're going to just trade for Christian McCaffrey because they're going to be like, oh, yeah, Christian McCaffrey, he's one of the best running backs in the league. When you have the worst line for him to run behind, you're not going to have a quarterback. So what are they going to do? They're going to stack the box against somebody who already can't stay healthy. It's the worst decision in the world, but it's definitely something the Texans would do. So that's the only team that's really going to be the option. I think that's what Carolina's also holding out for. I think Carolina wants Deshaun Watson. I think that they believe that they can get Deshaun Watson. And I think they believe Christian McCaffrey is the piece to get Deshaun Watson. They're going to package Christian McCaffrey and, I don't know, maybe some picks. I don't think the Texans are going to get what they want. There are a lot of rumors. There's a lot of talk about the Texans potentially knew some of the situations of Deshaun Watson and what was going on outside of the organization and things like that. When you got rumors like that swirling around, whatever you thought you were going to get 6 picks or whatever, good luck with that. It's not going to happen. They're going to have to compromise. I definitely see Christian McCaffrey and a couple of picks, maybe 2 or 3, being a good compromise for them, and that's probably the direction they're going to go.
Now, it's funny you bring up, or we all bring up, of course, the exchange that went on for Russell Wilson for the Broncos, correct? And like you talked about, when it comes to maybe trading Deshaun Watson to Carolina, and I'm just, we lived in Houston for a very long time, correct? And we know when it comes to Houston sports fans, they are very eccentric. I'll use that word. And sometimes they talk out of their neck to where they don't really listen to themselves when they talk. And a lot of people feel like because of what Seattle was able to get for Russell Wilson, a lot of people feel like, okay, well, if that's the case, then we should at least get 2 or 3 first-round picks, right? We should at least get this and that and the third. But last time I checked, Deshaun Watson didn't even play one down last year. Okay, so that itself gets rid of a first-round pick. Sorry. Okay, so I love watching some Deshaun Watson. As a football player, he's a great football player. But one thing about this league is, and it always has been, always will be, is what have you done for me lately? Well, and even though Russell had a down year, and he probably should, and I just feel like he probably shouldn't have been able to. Those picks, I don't think it matched the production that will happen moving forward. That's just my opinion. It still doesn't mean that because Russell Wilson got this, Deshaun Watson should automatically get 2 or 3 first round, 2 or 3 second rounders, that, and third.
And real quick to add to that, X, it's also a different situation in the fact that because he sat out last year, it proves to the rest of the league that he really does not want to play for this organization. So you lose some of your value, negotiation power when you clearly have a player that is willing to sit out. He could potentially ride out his contract on the Texans team if he wanted to, and it looks like he's more than willing to ride that out in order to not play for the organization again. So when you have a situation like that, if I'm a team, why am I going to, give you a whole boatload of picks because you want to get rid of this guy? You clearly need to move him. It's bad for business to have him in the building or around the building. You clearly need to move him. Why am I going to give you a whole bunch of picks? I'm not going to. So Texans fans who think or are still holding out for 3 first-round picks and, 3 second-round picks or whatever and thinking you're going to get a package like that, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry to say it won't happen. You won't even get anything close to what Russell Wilson's deal was. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're at a point now where they need to get this situation with him resolved, which now it sounds like some of the accusers are being called into the grand jury on whether or not they're going to press criminal charges against him on Friday. If it comes out that they're pressing criminal charges, Texans organization, my gosh, it's over and done with. You're going to be so sad you didn't trade him last year because it's done. You're not getting anything for him at that point. You're going to see him probably released, which then wow, that becomes a whole nother debacle in the Texans organization history. So if I'm a team, I'm waiting to see after Friday. If criminal charges are pressed, it's done. He's getting released.
Yeah,
He's not even going to be
exactly
traded
what I
anymore.
was going to say.
And with that being said, go ahead and join us next Tuesday to see the recap for Deshaun Watson.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I mean, that's pretty much what's going to happen.
We're going to
next
find out at
Tuesday.
the end of this week if he's a viable candidate or not. There's some teams that probably get it.
Oh man, there's some teams that are going to be crying. There are teams that they're going to be paying attention to that really closely.
And as always, before we move on to the next topic, the NFL is the best reality TV show.
Oh man,
on the network. I'm just saying. I mean, it writes itself. It writes itself. All right, let's go ahead and talk about, of course, America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, do what it needs to do when it comes to creating some more cap room. Adding $22 million to their cap by reworking out Dak Prescott and Zach Martin's deals. We'll talk about this very briefly before we get up out of here tonight. Of course, this is Ishmael's team, the team that he roots for in the regular season before he gives up on them and picks another team to go to Super Bowl, Dallas Cowboys. Let's start off with you before we swing it over to KC. Ish, how do you feel about Dak reworking his deal and Zach Martin?
I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect. It's what they need. I think Zach knew is what they needed. Dak knows that's what they need. They need more cap space. They need to go out there. They need to fill some of these holes, make some more moves. I think the bigger news out of Cowboys camp right now is the fact that they're saying they're going to release Amari Cooper, which
yes,
that's a whole nother headache in and of itself. I guess CeeDee Lamb is maybe ready to step up into that role. Michael Gallup, are you thinking he's going to, contribute more? Matter of fact, last time I checked, is Michael Gallup even? I thought he was free agent.
No,
here.
Michael Gallup will be a free agent. I mean, they've still got dibs on talking to him for the next week, which I think is where part of this money is going to go, and why they did it was to get him taken care of. They'll clear up. I assume it'll be a post June 1st cut for Amari. Same for other players in the league. You see a lot of that. So I think that this is going to be to clear up some of that space to get Gallup back on, and then having a little bit of money to play with. But ultimately, that when you rework deals of players that are good are going to continue to be good, it's fine. But when you have a subpar quarterback and you rework his deal, so you pay him a lot later, that's when things go downhill, right, X?
Yes, of course. It's hilarious because he's talking about Ryan Tannehill.
No, they're gonna bring in. They're gonna re-sign Gallup with this money. Would be my prediction, or at least part of it. He's not getting the $22 million, obviously, and they'll clear, I think, $20 million in cap space when they release Cooper. So I mean, I don't know what they're doing with it. But
I mean, it also
you think you'd want to have Amari Cooper around, but I guess maybe not.
It also goes to show you too how Jerry Jones is also perceived as well too. A lot of people feel like he's a mean old Grinch, and for him to still give money to Dak after his injury, and also it seems like maybe give Michael Gallup his money as well after his injury, where a lot of people felt like, man, he maybe missed out on big bucks because he tore his ACL last year. If he's able to bless him, then I wouldn't say the perception of Jerry Jones is gone. I'm just saying that a lot of people feel like Jerry Jones, won't take care of you. But from everybody that I know, even like a guy like my uncle that played for the Cowboys in the '90s with Jerry Jones, a lot of people that played under Jerry Jones, they know that they are taken care of under Jerry Jones. So that's never been the problem. The problem is Jerry Jones is getting in the way of his own self and his own success sometimes with this Dallas Cowboys team. And moving forward, even though all these deals are going to be restructured and cap room and all this good stuff, the defense still has some question marks because the only two guys, mainly Parsons, because he's a man child and he's going to continue to get better. But Diggs, let's be honest, Diggs was either very high due to the interceptions or very low due to the
Peters.
Or I was going to say Asante Samuel, or very low due to all the
Peters for years.
No, I got you. Or giving up all the reception yards that he gave up last year, and he's somebody that's going to have to get better moving on the next year, and not relying on just getting interceptions. So that whole defense, I think as well moving forward is going to have to get revamped. I think Vander Esch, I think he moves on as well, and I think the whole defense gets revamped, revolving more around Parsons. So for this Cowboys era, they maybe have a window of 2 years because Zeke is on his
If
last
even
leg.
that.
That's what I'm saying. Like I agree. Like because Zeke is on his last leg, he's more of a block, a pick. He picks up blocks more than he's a running back now. And wide receiver wise, like you just said, if they are cutting Cooper and you're relying on CeeDee Lamb, who is let's be real, he's a good receiver, but he's not great. He's a very flashy guy. He likes to make these one-handed catches. He's not consistent. And Dalton Schultz, if that's what you're relying your offense on and your defense, then they will get surpassed by, I wouldn't say the Giants, but maybe somebody in that division. Who knows? Maybe they win the division, but again, a first round exit in the playoffs. If that's what you want, then that's what you're going to continue to get, Dallas.
I mean, I think part of my concern with the whole Amari Cooper situation and and moving this money around so maybe you can re-sign Gallup is outside of Gallup and CeeDee Lamb, who do you have then? Who's left as the receiving core? You don't have much out there, and I know that there are some bigger names out there on the free agent market at the wide receiver position. Some guys that you could definitely bring in just to fill in a role in the slot.
For sure.
And maybe you can get some guys on some smaller money. But it's going to be the thing that always comes back to bite the Cowboys in the butt is what type of deals do you make? And what players are you bringing in? And historically, since they won the Super Bowl a long, long time ago, they have not made the right moves, I feel like, in free agency or even in some of the trades. I mean, we could talk about the trade for Roy Williams. That was from Detroit. That, I mean, fell on his face.
You're going way back.
I mean, but that's the point. Since way back in the day.
I mean, the trade, of course, the TO trade that worked out. But yes, I agree. Most of the trades, yes. Surprisingly, the only time the Cowboys really have won is through the draft. They have drafted well.
That's it.
They've drafted well. Other than that, yes, trades have been kind of bad. Free agency, certain pickups, I mean, have not been didn't really pan out, and also it's been certain times where you miss. There's been guys that have been begging, say, "I want to go to Cowboy, I want to be a Cowboy," and you don't pick them up, like a Tyrann Mathieu maybe, or
hey, shut up.
I'm just
saying.
Well,
he's testing the market this year, so he could.
Yeah.
He could.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say though. I mean, like if they cleared $22 million here, they're gonna clear $20 million by letting Amari Cooper walk. And I mean, that's a little over $40 million. I mean, how much is Gallup gonna cost you? 10. I mean, he's not gonna cost you. I mean, if it's 20, keep Amari, right? Like, so it's gonna be like that gives you about a little over 30 to sign another wide receiver. Give me a DJ Chark. Give me someone like that that's available to be out there. That's a good player, and then secondary is pretty good. I mean, you say Tyrann Mathieu, and I hate it, but you're not wrong. He's gonna be out there. I mean, the corner game is pretty okay right now. I keep bringing up J.C. Jackson's name. He's going to sign somewhere for big money.
He's going to sign somewhere, yeah. That's going
to be
another
money,
domino.
I don't think it's here.
And that's going to be another domino effect of figuring out where does he go. Now, the real question is, and we'll talk about him once he's signed, is he a system guy or is he the real deal? Because
I think you might see him sign with a terrible team and just take the paycheck. I hate to say
and that's perfectly fine. You got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Money away.
Yeah, you ain't got to do what you got to do. When your stock's high, you got to continue to ride the wave. I got you on that. But what I will say about JC is, does that also show what Belichick thinks of him when it comes to, you're good, but we remember they had Stephon Gilmore, right? And they let him go. Okay, and after signing him to a big deal. They're not even attempting to sign him to a deal. So I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying is that was just a flash of a pan type of season to where is there going to be a sucker team that's going to pay top dollar for somebody that's going to be mediocre?
I got your candidate.
I would say that
I got it. I figured it out just now.
Who is it?
It's the Chargers. Chargers got a lot of money to spend. They got as of doing this right now, they're about $56 million in spending money available, so they could go out and spend. You're in a division that you need someone that can play corner. Like, you got good quarterbacks in the division, so
You got a good
we
safety.
need someone that can do it.
You need
and
some
yeah,
help
you're
on
not
that
wrong.
side, yeah.
We might find out if he's that guy or not.
Well, he is represented by Drew Rosenhaus, and we know Drew Rosenhaus clients. They tend to go out there and
get that money.
Get that money.
Oh, yeah,
so
they get paid.
that could be part of the reason why
that's the real
New
life
England
Jerry
didn't
Maguire
even try.
right there. That's the real life Jerry Maguire.
Yep.
Show me the money,
Really
baby. Show me the money. All right, we appreciate you as always, KC, for being on X Talking Ish.
Yes, we do,
Please
man.
let the people know where to find you.
Just another football show. Anywhere you get your podcast, man. We're rolling into the we're not, because football season never sleeps, right? Like, draft season is huge for us. My buddy Ryan is huge on the draft, so he is with us. He's already ready to start talking draft. We got to like pump the brakes with him every episode because we're not quite there yet. So we'll roll all the way through the draft, and then come summer, we do a lot of fun things. We got a couple friends of mine that just started a little podcast that's not sports related, but we're gonna do some fun stuff with them in the off season. Might revisit some beer brackets, things like that. Have a little fun, and then right into in July we start team previews, right? So that's where it's at. We're going year round. We don't stop. So come check us out at Twitter, at Another FB Show, Facebook. We got a Facebook group. I know Lee joined it. He's having a lot of fun out there. It's a good time. We appreciate everyone that's around and listening.
Well, you heard the man. Make sure y'all go ahead and tune in to Just Another Football Show, and of course, all his other
just recorded tonight. Fresh episode tomorrow.
And of course, just his all the other platforms. Just another movie show, another fans football, whatever.
Oh
Casey
man,
got
we do
going
it all.
He does it all over there.
My wife wants to kill me.
That's the real Renaissance man out there in the world. But of course, join us always next Tuesday, 9:00 p.m. Central Time, 10:00 Eastern, for another episode. Of course, like we said, the greatest reality show out here on sports, the NFL. X Talking is recapping once again. We didn't think we was gonna have enough to talk about today, but
man,
bow. Domino.
We had the exact
domino
same
effect.
conversation yesterday. What the hell are we gonna talk about this week?
That domino effect happened, and here we are. So I think it'll be more of the same this upcoming week. There's gonna be some things. Look, I'm telling you, mark my words. Tomorrow morning, there's gonna be something that's gonna pop up, and we're gonna be like, "Dang, we get a chance to talk about it." So we're gonna have to wait.
What the hell? By next Tuesday, the legal tampering period will have been open for 24 hours. You guys will have signings ready to go.
Yeah, you ain't lying. All right, we appreciate y'all as always. We'll see y'all next week on X Talking Ish.